Now, it costs the Department of Education almost €3 million to post payslips to teachers and other department members last year, despite pledging to address these costs as a matter of urgency back in 2021. Now, I'm joined on the line by Paul McAuliffe, Fianna Fáil TD, spokesperson on social protection and a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me about this. It does seem like Stone Age stuff that teachers and other department members are getting postal payslips when the world has gone digital.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when in 2021, when as a new member of the Public Accounts Committee, I saw that we had spent 10 million over 6 years on postage for payslips. I really had to query whether I was reading the information correctly, and there was a very clear commitment given in 2021 that there would be a new system which would allow teachers to view their payslips online. And that's important to say, Pat, is that many teachers have been calling for this. It's much handier if they're applying for mortgages in terms of the payslips coming in their door. People are kind of very environmentally conscious themselves. So the INTO and other teachers' unions have been calling for this. And the progress of the department has just been too slow on it. And I have to say, when I put forward the question in January, really keeping tabs on what the department had promised, I couldn't believe that the figure had actually increased. That actually, whereas the previous year had been closer to 2 million that was postage, that actually in 2023 we're now spot on 3 million to post 3.3 million payslips.
Okay, now the point about it is, I suppose, that An Post gets the money, isn't that so? How much does the department actually pay per envelope to An Post? Do they get a bargain basement rate?
Yeah, they would appear to, because obviously they post 3.3 million payslips to process 3.3 million payslips, and that comes at a cost of 3 million. That appears to be at a lower rate. What I'm glad is that they're not using a service outside the state, which many larger institutions do to try and get reduced postage. But Pat, this isn't, obviously we want people to post letters and on Post to be well funded and so on, but this is archaic. It's a waste of public money, and the department's ambition to try and transition, there has been a change this year, and I'm happy to talk about that in a moment if you like. We now have roughly 27,000 people who are getting e-pay slips, but the ambition to get the 100,000 teachers online isn't strong enough, and we need to go further.
Now, the 2.9 million is not the end of it, because that does not actually include the cost of printing and what they call other ancillary costs.
No, and I suppose there's obviously the processing time. On top of that, then there's the stationery and all of that, and then there's the postage itself. And it's very easy to see how an online system, reduces all of those costs. There'll always be a very small number of people that may want to access them online, but the vast majority of people don't. Yeah. And unfortunately,
you should not be in an Irish school teaching if you're not online savvy. Full stop. Because your pupils will run rings around you in every aspect of the curriculum.
I don't believe the resistance is coming from teachers on this. In fact, many young teachers, as I say, applying for mortgages and so on, want to be able to access their pay details online. Yeah. It appears that the department's attempts to, so obviously 100,000 people on any payroll system, it must be one of the largest payroll systems in the whole country. So I can understand that, about phased implementation and all of that. But at the moment, teachers need their public service cards in order to sign up and mygov.ie to sign up to the current onboarding system that they have.
Yeah.
Many teachers, if they're not collecting children's allowance, for example, wouldn't have a public service card. They may never have engaged before with the social welfare.
Everyone should have a MyGov ID account, because I used it last night for a driving license, for example. And, it works. It works. And as you go through the application process, you save along the way every step. So you can abandon the application and go off and have your dinner and then come back and continue it.
Yeah, and
it works very well.
It's a very user-friendly system. But in order to have the full benefits of an account, and I don't know if you have one or not, you do need the public service card. And only last week at the Public Accounts Committee, we were addressing the concerns around that and how the department are really swamped with people looking for appointments to get the public service card, which gives them the full remit.
So, look, Paul, here's the question. This is the Department of Education. How are people paid in other government departments?
Well, actually, the vast majority of public servants across the country are on e-payroll, and I think the difficulty here is that the scale of the education workforce, 100,000 teachers.
Yeah, but it
across
doesn't
the whole
matter. I mean,
country.
if the system works, the system works. Why reinvent the wheel? If you've got a system that pays 100,000 civil servants very well on with the pay slips, why can't just import that? Why have
Well,
to do it all again?
I can only give you the evidence that was given to us by the previous Secretary General, and I imagine the new Secretary General, she will say the same. But they're saying that for such a scale of a workforce, they needed a bespoke system that catered for the different elements that are needed within the department. I can totally accept for example, teachers who are employed through education and training boards, they all are paid now with e-pay slips. That's because the ETBs have a bespoke system for themselves and they're able to implement it. So part of the problem here is the scale of the workforce and the physical challenge of onboarding thousands and thousands and thousands of teachers.
Some of the text coming in, it seems like such a simple update to make that would save millions. What do the department actually spend their days doing? Do they people getting paid to lick the envelopes and apply the stamps? It's mad. Well, no, I presume it's automated folding and putting in the envelope and all that sort of thing. There are machines which can do that. Another one, my husband as a teacher tried to change to digital, but it's a cumbersome process. You apparently have to make an appointment with the Department of Social Welfare to prove you are who you are. So you need to make appointments, which to me is archaic. Surely if you consent to this online, it's quite simple to change over. I mean, as I mentioned, driving license, apply online, passport, apply online, and these are very sensitive documents. You can do all of that online, and yet you have to make an appointment to see Mr. Magoo in the Department of Social Welfare.
The default or the standard should be that people are opting out of the system rather than people having to opt in. I suppose the department are saying that it's been introduced in a phased basis. Again, that ambition, that timeline has to be faster. €3 million, Pat, each year. It's not a huge amount in the overall scale of the department, but can you imagine what €3 million might do for a school project and so on? And actually, just by comparison, the figures around the free school books scheme, for example, which has made a massive impact across the country, is in that kind of same space, small numbers. And so even the saving of this scale will have a positive impact, and we need to get there quicker and faster.
Yeah. The problem is how quickly this can all be done. I mean, we did have what was it called? PayPars or PPARs for the HSE, which went completely wrong. So we got to do it right. But I mean, it's not that you do without paper entirely, because you can always print out your pay slip. If you get an e-slip, you can print it out yourself.
Yeah, and I know in the Oireachtas that's how we do. We've a login. There's a bespoke system. I've no doubt it's based on similar systems that's used in other organisations. You're able to see and view your pay slips, and then you're able to print them yourself if you need them for a bank loan or for a mortgage application or whatever else. And it's far easier to collate them together than to be trying to retain pay slips. And I'd say the idea of 3.35 million pay slips being issued every year, just from an environmental perspective, if you took no other factor, it's not a good use.
And the banks, of course, have operated a system in recent years where you can opt into paper if you want it. If you insist on paper, they will actually send you the account statement in paper form. But by and large, the default is that you don't get paper unless you actually ask for it. The HSE, says a texter, they send out appointments by post, not always suitable, especially if one is working. Email would be more suitable when you're away from home. That's from Mick and Donegal. And isn't that the point, that if you want it by post because you're not tech savvy or you're not digitally aware or you don't have a laptop, even though pretty much everyone has a phone, but not necessarily a smartphone, you can actually opt into paper with the HSE. That's the way it should be. And otherwise, you get a digital appointment.
Yeah, and look, in my constituency office, I have people all the time that would like to deal by email. Others will want to deal by paper. I think this is different. This is a substantial amount of public money that's being used in a wasteful way. That the department accept is being used in a wasteful way, and we need to now ensure that the system that has been developed, and I'm sure at cost, that system is implemented and that it's spread right across the 100,000 teachers, and that they're onboarded. I hate that expression, but it's an IT expression. They're onboarded as quickly as possible in order to get that saving.
Thank you very much, Paul McAuliffe, Fianna Fáil TD spokesperson on social protection and a member of the Public Accounts Committee.